All right. First of all, thanks, Nico, for joining in. Everyone, I have with me one of the early customers that GoML had, which is Nico. Nico is the founder and CEO for SurePeople, right? And they've been doing some very interesting stuff when it comes to people science, understanding people's behavior. In fact, they've patented their technology when it comes to, the overall understand the behavioral challenges with people, right? They've been doing a lot of initiatives around the same, including their Prism technology that they've actually developed, framework that they've actually developed. But Nico, thank you so much for joining in, right? And what we'd love to understand today is how your experience of working with GoML and overall generative AI space has been, right?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me, Rishab. I'm excited to share what a great experience has been working with you and the GoML team. It, I would like to say it's not rare to have great partnerships, but it is rare to have great partnerships, and the combination that GoML brings to the table, which is very important.
No, absolutely, and thanks for trusting us, first of all, Nico. But what would be very helpful to understand that technology is not new, right? That's what your whole platform is actually built upon, right? But it is a framework that you've developed, but then you actually rendered it through a tech platform to your customers, right? But when specifically with Gen AI, what is the business use case that you're actually trying to solve for your customers?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and certainly for what we have gone through, over learning. Well, I would say more so the development of our platform, and really the journey that we've had, that we've gone through from early on, when we were doing a lot of learning and development, I call it. A lot of times call it research, learning, and development as well, is because we really went through a process early in kind of the development stages of SurePeople, where we were using machine learning. And machine learning, as we really know, focuses on the development of algorithms so that we could take the data and process it. And my early hopes were that we could have some of the outcomes that we're now seeing with generative and general generative. A lot of people use both words, like Gen AI, and what Gen AI can do, which is now create something out of that that's useful. And that's been the biggest impact we've had, to actually see our vision come to life, because this was a vision we had 10 years ago. The technology just wasn't there. And people have been working on different types of artificial intelligence: conversational, text to speech, speech to text, and certainly we've seen it with major organizations like, Alexa from Amazon, and Microsoft's been doing this. But the power of Gen AI and the capabilities that it has is transformational. And people don't really understand the differences of artificial intelligence, and of course you'll hear a lot of news about how artificial intelligence can do a lot of bad, but the good it's doing is incredible. And if you follow where a lot of investment is going, it's in AI, it's in Gen AI as well. So for us, it's been transformational, is probably the best word. And what I love about it is that we can pass that on to our valued customers, because the benefit that they're going to gain from this technology and this capability to help them in the flow of work and everyday life is really going to impact the outcomes that they're all seeking.
Absolutely, and I think what you're trying to solve probably is a problem that everyone has attempted, but no one has been able to solve, right? Which is understanding the people's behavior and probably making it more instructive, making it more constructive for everyone in the whole paradigm of your each day or everyday living, right? So that's a brilliant use case to solve, right, Nico? But again, we've been doing a lot of these chatbots for ages now, right? And you yourself have been in this technology area. We were doing chatbots in 2018 as well, right? But what do you think, right? And this is where most of the CIOs that we deal with today fail to understand to a certain extent, is that how Gen AI has changed that whole technology paradigm, right? It's no longer about chatbots, right? It's about the agents framework that we're actually creating. It's about understanding the user's problem and then probably guiding them and solving that problem. And that's what your whole, the Aris, tool that you're actually building, right? the coaching module, etc., that you're actually building. You're trying to understand the problem, and then you're actually guiding users on. It's not a pure play chatbot that you're developing, right? So how did you go about setting up these? If you can just take one example, how did you go about identifying that business use case, and then probably decided the technology around it?
Yeah, certainly. And I'm going to stick with SurePeople and our B2B offering. And, when you look at the biggest challenges today in the workforce, you have leaders from the executive and C-suite leaders all the way to frontline leaders. And they're tasked with leading. And leading is very different than doing a specific job or task that you're really good at. If you're good at selling something, it's great. You can sell, you can be successful, you can help a business. But the minute you become a leader, that means now you're responsible to help other people succeed. And helping other people succeed becomes human. You have to know how to communicate. You have to know how to train and how to develop people and how to help them. And if you don't have the human understanding of first yourself and of course then others, it's going to be impossible to get through to people and help them the way they need to be helped. So, that was where we started, and the differentiator that we brought to the marketplace, which Gen AI can do so many things, but I've always remembered this: data junk in, junk out, right? So if you don't have the right data in the beginning, so that's the same thing with Gen AI. While Gen AI can take content, create content, take information and process it and make it meaningful, if the origination is no good, the outcome will be not helpful. And that's the problem people have when you see how ChatGPT is utilized, right? They give you general information that they go out and grab from the internet, and whatever it grabs, it gives you. And sometimes it's really good and spot on, and other times it's like more general and it's not relevant. And I think that's what we have done. What we bring to the table is in the marketplace, there's no other psychometric algorithm as comprehensive as ours. There are other good psychometric algorithms, but they're very limited to the information that they have because they only measure certain human traits and attributes, where we bring the most comprehensive with 54 traits and attributes, across your personality and how you process information and your fundamental needs that drive you to motivate you every day, all the way through to how you manage conflict. And what we've done now is we've taken that information and now we personalize the experience of, call it a coach, for example. How can it be more personalized to actually give you very prescriptive guidance? And it's based on how you're wired, how other people are wired. So now as a leader, I know how to talk to, person one compared to person two, which may be the same challenge, but how do I help that situation? How do I bring two people to collaborate better together? How can I apologize to somebody? All the things that you need to do as a leader, whether it's motivation or guidance or development, you can have it in a very prescriptive way. And the power of Gen I has allowed us to actually bring what usually takes for hours to days into not even seconds, into immediate, like, here's what you need to do. And now, part of our mission is to make people sure of themselves, and organizations sure of the people. Well, how do you make people sure of themselves? You give them the information they need when they need it in the flow of work. And when you're giving them information about how to be a better leader, how to communicate to somebody more effectively, so that you don't communicate to people the way you want to be communicated to. You communicate with people the way they need you to communicate to them. And I think that's what Gen AI has done for us. Again, the vision we've had, trying to use machine learning to do it, it got us very far. But then with Gen AI, it took it to a whole other level of real time. Imagine having an executive coach, or a leader that has information, that knows more about you and the other person, and can guide you very specifically. It is like so spot on, and that's the difference. And people see the impact, and then that's the wow factor. The wow factor is like, one, when they hear it and they're like, oh yeah, and then they do it and they see the outcomes. I mean, that's where I just feel that Gen AI has just an incredible future ahead of itself. I think it's going to be bigger than the Industrial Revolution, because there's so many different use cases for it, and the way we're using it to improve relationships, to improve leadership capabilities, to improve business outcomes, from the human level is transformational.
And absolutely, that's what I really love about Show People, right? Is that you already had an idea which you'd already implemented. And I myself have taken the Prism test, right, by the way. It helped me understand my colleagues much better than I've been working with some of these colleagues for almost a decade, right? But the way it helped me understand specifically in situational areas, right? How would they probably react to certain parameters and so on was really helpful. But then you already had this proven framework, and then you're leveraging Gen AI on top of it to make it much more consumable, much more personalized, right? And that's what was really brilliant about working with you guys, is that you were already convinced about the use case, about the technology, and then you probably worked with a partner like us to implement that, right? So that was really brilliant. But then, Nico, how did our partner, GoML's partnership with AWS, how do you feel that actually helped us through this engagement that we've had for the last couple of months?
Yeah, that's definitely, you're only as good as your partners. First your direct team, and then your partners, which I guess everybody's really the partners of the business. First and foremost, with AWS, we've been hosting our infrastructure for many years there, and they're a first class organization. The capabilities and technology that they bring to their customers, is always leading instead of lagging, right? So you're always there. Early conversations we had with them about Gen AI and AI before that, and machine learning before that, and just kind of historically. So our loyalty to AWS is there because, one, their quality of their infrastructure. Two, they keep you at the leading edge of innovation, and their response time has been great for us. So we're very pleased with them, and the scalability, the usability of their infrastructure. I just think they're the leader, and that's why we want to be with the best. Then comes GoML, and what's really, I think, special about somebody like myself who's entrepreneurial and has started from the beginning. With GoML, I was one of your first, customers, and really watching the journey, of how you guys have really matured as a business, because I think your skill sets were off the charts. But then in a new business, trying to understand our product and kind of bring it all together, your responsiveness, again, it was a breath of fresh air. As I mentioned, earlier, you want to have the type of partners that you can grow with. You want to have the type of partners who bring the innovation mindset with the realistic situation you're dealing with, because innovation could be a few steps ahead, but where are we today? And what do we take that you did yesterday to the future? And I think there's where the gap is in a lot of organizations and a lot of partnerships on the technology and development side. So for me, GoML, I could say, one, the entire team that we've worked with, because working with the leadership, which we had a relationship in the beginning, we closed our deal together, and then the team that we worked with at GoML, who very responsive, thoughtful. I've never we try to keep people into normal business hours, especially because you're not in the U.S. And it's almost like, do your people sleep? Because we're on the phone in the morning and the afternoon. It's and I'm very thoughtful because our core team is internationally based in India as well. So I'm very appreciative of the level of commitment that we've gotten. And even when we didn't crack the code initially, the continued drive to get there, you've exceeded my expectations in terms of a partner from all perspectives. I mean, I say this very sincerely, and that's why I agreed to do this video. I have not done many testimonial videos, very few, because when you do that, it's your credibility. So if somebody watches this video and partners with GoML, and then you don't deliver, they're going to look at me like, I was paid to do this, and I'm not. So really, I think, you guys, it's a breath of fresh air that what you're doing and what you say, you do. Outside of contracts and agreements, you make a commitment, and you guys so far have delivered and exceeded my expectations in terms of the approach that you guys have taken, the way your team works, your level of commitment. So I'm really excited, and I'm happy to talk to anybody who wants to know about what it's like to work with you, firsthand. But AI, Gen AI, you understand the infrastructure on the AWS side really, really well. So as you're working with our core team and doing integrations, time is money, right? And you need speed to market. So you could be great at AI, but you may not be great on the back end and integrating it. Well, what good does that do if you can't integrate into other systems? And also, I want to take a moment to touch on this, that um, AI has a lot of inherent risk, right?
Yes.
And you guys have addressed that immediately. So, for example, when people talk about security, and people talk about guardrails and all these things, that we talk about, you guys are proactive there, which is very, very important in today's world, because a lot of people fear AI. Just like people feared, Y2K, and people feared, new technologies, right? People fear that, and fear drives news, and news is, kind of created out there with buzz. For me, the power that we have right now with Gen AI is going to transform the world. It's transformed our business. It's going to transform our valued customers' day to day operations, and help us achieve the promise we've made to our customers. So, working with GoML and working with AWS is something that I'm grateful for, and look forward to a long term partnership of innovation and solving real problems that address today's needs.
Absolutely. First of all, Nico, I'm really humbled to probably get that feedback from a partner like your customer like you, right? That we really value. Like customers like you do keep us on toes, which we're really thankful for, right? And just for record, I did not pay Nico. I don't think so. We can afford to pay Nico for the videos testimonial, right? But see, one thing that we realized very early in our journey, right? And you've been part of that journey, right? We've grown, with SurePeople as we built our practice, is that customer obsession comes first, right? Now, for us to do that, if there are 20 things that need to be done at the back end, which includes learning new thing on the fly, because this whole world is so new, right? We have to do that. So that's one thing that we had realized very early. And again, I thank you for putting the trust and faith in us. I think we've been working for 4 months together now, right? Almost, and we continue. I just hope we continue to work for the next coming months as well, right?
Well,
But just as a parting thought, Nico, and I've seen, having spoken to a lot of CIOs across the industry, right? Everyone is being very careful in terms of how they probably bring GenAI in their overall, strategy today, right? And still, everyone is just thinking, right? What are your parting thoughts? Just probably a suggestion to probably everyone in the industry how they can leverage GenAI, probably just from the tech perspective.
oh wow! I mean, so many ways you can leverage Gen AI. From the content side to even automation in a very meaningful way. I think there's a lot of use cases out there. People are using it now with bots. If you see LinkedIn, you'll see that they've created Gen AI automation in there that's plugged in. I think solving real problems. That's what it's about. There's a lot of things you can do, but if you can solve a real pain point, that becomes a business value. And if you're on the B2B side of the equation, and you look at your organization, I think one, you need to have an expert, right, that can actually help you, right, and you bring that expert in, just like we brought GoML in, and the expertise that you brought, and we basically laid out the foundation of what we want to
Yes.
do, right, and we planned really smart together. So I think planning is important, right? You don't go develop and prompt engineering is great, but prompt engineering is only a piece of the big
Yes.
puzzle, right?
Yeah.
You can't without understanding, well, okay, now what happens when you plug that in, and how is it bringing it back in such a way that is meaningful. So I think there's planning is very important. First, understanding the problem you're trying to solve and really bringing it to the table, looking at what you have, and desired outcomes that you want out of that. And if it's automation, if it's content creation, if it's whatever it is, I think you just have to basically sit down and plan for it, right? It's like an architect. You
Exactly.
don't go start building a home without having the blueprint. Well, here you have to create a blueprint strategy for your Gen AI, And again, you should include AWS as your backend, right? Because I mean, I speak with that with a little bit of prejudice because I love the relationship with them. And then you have to have a partner that knows, that can challenge you back, that
Yep.
knows how to approach it and understand your current infrastructure, understand security really well, because that's a big thing, right? You have security, and a lot of people are concerned about that, and then also global rights, and different regulations and different industries and markets. So there's a lot to think about there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just got one more thing which probably show people did right, at least from our perspective, is what that you had a use case, right? You did not boil the ocean, right? You had a use case. We already proven technology to a certain extent, and you were using GenAI more for consumability or consumption perspective, right? And then when you once you've proven that, we had created some guardrails or steps which now we've templatized and now we're probably using for a lot of other use cases, right? So I think that's what we also, I mean, the success that you guys have been able to replicate is identify the right use case, right? Test it out, try it out. There's no better platform to try out now with GenAI, right? And then probably have your learnings very small, fail fast, deliver fast, and then move on. Right? So I think that's one thing that you guys had done really brilliantly when you came to us, right? But Nico, I really thank you for being a customer for GoML. First of all, being very adjusting and trusting us. I really hope we have this relationship for a longer period. And thank you so much for doing this today, Nico.
Well,
Happy to have you on this testimonial today.
Well, rest assured, if nothing changes with the way you operate, we will be a very, very long-term customer. As you know, we have another company we're bringing to you as well, another division, because of the success we've had, and also the pleasure we've had of working with you. And I hope I tell a story about how big you guys grow, because you will. There's no doubt you will, because you know what you're doing and you're adding value in a time where everybody's trying to get into Gen AI because it's
Yeah,
hot, but not everybody understands what they need to be
understand.
doing, right? And I think that's what you guys bring. So it's been a pleasure, and really, to me, such a privilege to work together with great people, and the entire GoML team. So we look forward to a long-term, fruitful, continued relationship with you.
Absolutely, absolutely, Nico, and really humbled with this. And thanks again, Nico, for being here and being our customer. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. And please feel free to tell anybody who has questions. They can call me, and I'm happy to talk to them about my experience in working with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nico, for this. Thank you.
Wonderful. Take care, Rashab. Thank you so much.